What's going on, my breakthrough friends? Dr. Bruce back in the house here for another installment of the 90-Day Sales Breakthrough Broker podcast. Every single week, I like to come into your life with some type of topic or content that I believe will move the needle in your business or in your life, whether that's personally or professionally, around your sales, your service, your marketing, and all of this is a mindset. And this week's topic or focus is it's not everyone starts, but not everyone finishes, right? We're in the fourth quarter of the year. And unfortunately, a lot of people just kind of limp across the finish line and they rest on their laurels for the year. And that's not us, not in our program. So for you as a solopreneur, fall solely on you to go out there every single day and push towards your potential. Let's break down the concept of everybody starts, but unfortunately, not everybody finishes. And I want to give you just a kind of a checklist of reasons why I believe we start something, but we don't send it all the way to its logical conclusion and finish it all the way through. And there's really 5 areas that I want to break down. All right. Number 1 would be you forget why you started it in the first place. You know, sometimes we start things that we think is super important, and then we start getting hit in a bunch of different directions, and then we lose the purpose or the meaning behind why we started that in the first place. Okay, so there's not a strong enough conviction as to why you started it in the first place. Or I would take it a step further. Maybe you started something on the advice of somebody else, like, hey, you should go do this, and you weren't fully committed from the very beginning. And therefore, you don't have that strong conviction or passion, or it's not a dominant focus for you, and you lose the purpose behind it. Okay. Number 2, I would say you don't have the plan in place. You know, so you start something, but there's really not a clear-cut path as to how you're going to go out there and actually implement those different strategies to get you closer to that goal in the first place. Maybe you're not being held accountable, right? There's a different stat out there that I love. It's basically 50% of people will achieve a plan or a goal when they know why they're doing it, they know how to do it, and they've actually mapped it out. And then it goes up to 65% when they share it with somebody else, like, hey, I'm committed to doing this. But it goes all the way up to 95% if you actually meet on that thing regularly, okay? So number 2 reason why I believe people don't finish something through to its logical conclusion is they don't have that clear-cut plan, right? So like, for instance, just think about health and wellness. You know, when you know, hey, I'm going to go work out at exactly this time, these are the foods that I am not allowed to eat, these are the foods that I am allowed to eat, and now you're meal prepping, you're much more likely to go out there and achieve that, okay? The third part, quite frankly, we've all been there, is it's when it's same shit, different day, we get bored. You know, like actually sometimes achieving your goals or getting close to your goals is almost as boring, right? It's almost like robotic, and that's okay. You know, when I look at Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and all these different athletes, I mean, they are almost robotic with how they go out there and achieve things. And a lot of times they have to find like somebody talking crap about them. And a lot of times they'll make up these stories about going into a game because they're trying to find that motivation, okay? And so it's only natural for us a lot of times in this ADHD world that we live in where you actually get bored, or we have monkey mind, right? We jump from one idea to another idea to another idea. So I do think complacency and boredom can be a thing out there, all right? Number 4 reason is it almost always takes longer than we think it's going to take, all right? And so, you know, when it comes to it's almost like, I think of the Bill Gates quote, we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. All right. And so that's really what I think about there. It's that long obedience in the same direction, but it is probably going to take longer. It's going to be harder. And that's where that on the other side of a breakdown, a lot of times is a breakthrough. And I just hate seeing people give up and give in right before that breakthrough happens. All right. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You've heard me say that 1,000 times if you've been following me. And that is the mindset. That's the affirmation that I write down every single day. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when I'm going to be successful. All right. And then the 5th part of this, which is kind of a piggyback on this one, number 4 would be, you know, you don't set that clear end date. There's not like that achievable like goal. Like it's not so much on paper like, hey, this is an outcome. It's like, you know, again, health and wellness. I want to reach 175 pounds or whatever it looks like. I want to have that certain body percent fat. So I do believe in actually having clear-cut end dates and actually knowing like what is the light at the end of the tunnel. And then once you get there, then you set new goals and you set new boundaries and new expectations. All right. So I do think that's the 5th part is maybe one of the most important is when it's same shit, different day, and you're just going through those robotic motions, there's not really that end goal in sight. That's why I run my business and my life in 90-day cycles, because every 90 days now I'm rinsing, and repeating. So every last Friday of the quarter, I'm resetting my goals for the next 90 days. All right. So I think that's a very important thing that a lot of us don't do, is we don't actually have, what is that end goal? Like, what is that finish line? Where is that finish line? And because of that, now that goes back into, like, we get bored, we get complacent, we get burnout, we get overwhelmed, we get all those different kinds of things. All right. So just remember, when it comes to not everybody finishes, but everybody gets started, is the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. You have to learn how to say no to things that are not getting you closer to your goals. And we have to find ways to get creative on how to stay motivated and inspired, right? Motivation is when you have a hold of an idea and you drag it across the finish line. It's easy to work when we're inspired. Inspiration simply means an idea has a hold of us. I kind of think about in athletics, that's when you're in the zone. Like, that's when it's fun. But it's those times when you're not inspired. It's those times when you're demotivated. It's those times when you're exhausted. Now, listen, I do believe that we have to take breaks and we have to recalibrate and we have to give ourselves grace. Absolutely. But in your heart of hearts whether you're getting closer to your potential. My goal every single day is I'm chasing my potential. And along the way, I'm just trying to inspire others to reach theirs. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast. Everyone starts, but not everyone finishes. If you are interested in coaching, you can get started literally at any day, set your Monday start date, and you're off to the races. So we've actually recalibrated our coaching package to where you can just say, all right, I'm ready to go. It's $333 per month. And boom, you're off to the races. And then you have support. You have 24/7 coach on call support through us. So please, if you've been thinking about coaching or you need some kind of level of accountability, trust us, trust our process. Go out there and look at our social proof for people in housing, banking, insurance, financial. I will put our 90-day program up against anybody out there. All right. As far as a sales, onboarding, and accountability program, we're intense, but we're fun and positive. Go out there and keep reaching your potential.